Okay, so after a few days of doing some research, or not, okay, not research, I've been experimenting, and I've just done research today, and I think I figured out something that should hopefully work. I still have to make sure it can do things I want the wings to do, but yeah, this is what I've got so far with the wing rigging. So obviously there's a lot of feathers here. It's not like realistic amount of feathers on like a real bird, but it's still a lot. So I don't want to manually pose all this. That's a pain in the ass to animate all manually. Not happening. So I need to create a system where these feathers will always spread out evenly and rotate in ways that make sense. I still have to figure out how I'm going to get these wings to fold. I have an idea, but I still have to do some testing on that, so I can't show that yet. But right now I am currently testing the spreading of wings of the feathers with certain controls. So let me go over how this all works so far. So right now I'm clicking on the primary feather bones. These control the primary feathers. So yeah, these bones are bound to each feather, and another bone layer is bound to each secondary feather. They're just sitting in a different layer, you just can't see them. So and then we have these three bones here that don't have any constraints, and these bones will be what I would call the control bones for the feathers. So if I were to pose this in a weird, obscure way, obviously you don't want this. So I have this middle one here that bends all these feathers in a more ideal position, and it's only one bone and not 24. So that's good. I like that. So let's see what else. Right. So these feathers basically kind of takes into account all the rotations between all of these bones here. So this middle one here between these two is copying the rotation of this one and this one halfway through. So it's basically 50-50. Basically 50% of this rotation's copied and 50% of this rotation's copied. You can see that through here. It's copying rotation from the 7th bone here and copying rotation of the 5th bone here. And I use this influence lever to dictate how the influence is. And since this is halfway between, I use 50%. Which makes sense because it's in between. Halfway through. With these, it's a bit different, obviously. It's not too complex. This is 0.25, this is 0.5, and this is, well, 0.25 for this one. So, maybe I could make that better. Yeah, I can swap these around, make that 100, and then this 0.75. That makes more sense. So this is 0.25, 0.5, 0.75. I didn't change anything, I just made things more easier to understand. So yeah, that's basically how the evenly spread wings work right now. I only have one bone per feather, but I plan to have about 4 per feather so that they can bend. And maybe I'll have another one that, so that I might have more bones where the feathers can, like, not bend through the length of it, but through the width of it, if you know what I mean. Like, I still need to... I'm not trying to visualize it because I don't have it set up at all. But basically, through the width here, it would bend like this, or like this. Because if I bring the wing up like this, there's clipping issues, and I could probably solve that if I had the had bones automatically making the feathers through the width of it bend as well. But that's for later. I'll figure that out. But I just need to get this main problem out of the way, is how I'm going to spread these feathers around, and I've pretty much figured that out at this point. So I can basically fold this wing in any way I desire, and with adjusting this middle controller here, I can fix the weird spreading issue here to a way and orientation that I want it to be. And that looks good. Just like that. Fancy. Obviously, these right now kind of just placeholder feathers. These are just blobs of geometry. I actually don't know what I'm going to do with materials and texturing, and I have no idea. I'm not sure what to do. I know my pony monos have like realistic looking hair, that it has layers of it's just not a flat blob like it used to be. But for feathers, I'm not sure if I want to go that route, because feathers are pretty thin. I'm not sure how good that would look. I don't know. I have problems with that. I'm not sure yet. I'm actually kind of curious how it would look right now. I haven't tried making the wings fold with this setup. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be behaving the way I wanted to. But we'll see. I'm going to just give it a shot. I don't know about this. And the middle one. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Let's see. And these small feathers are getting in the way. Ideally, I also want to have control of individual feathers, but I don't have that at the moment, but I do know how I can get that. Because for wing folding, there's going to be a lot of precise positioning for each feather so they don't clip through one another. Yeah, and that'll be fun. But yeah, it's not quite ideal yet. I still need to figure things out. I do believe I have size control. Yeah, I just can't rotate each one manually. I can scale it if I need to shrink some down. Progress will be made eventually on this. Folding is complicated because of how close together everything is. Everything's slipping through each other in ways you don't want it to. There's feathers go on this side, and there's a lot of feathers from back here is going through, showing through the front. It's what's going on down here, I don't know. Ideally, I want this all to be automatically controlled, so I don't have to think about all this, how these feathers are positioned. I just want things to work, and that's going to be hard when I have to take into account the wing folding. That's going to be annoying. Now, obviously, I do have these reference images up here. Clearly, I'm not going to get this look, this true accurate look when it's folded. That's just not going to happen. The wings, I don't think I can get it to fold like this, where all the curves are so smoothly blending together. Nope, not happening. If I want the wings to smoothly transition from folded to extended without model swapping or using blend shapes or shape keys, yeah, that's not going to happen. If I was a better rigger, maybe. But based on my own knowledge right now, I don't think I can get curves like this to happen. It's honestly not even that realistic of a wing fold, because it is cartoony after all. In fact, this wing, when it's extended, is also quite unrealistic. As you can see, my current wing model has a lot more feathers. The show has 4 primary feathers and 3 secondary. I have 7 of each, primary and secondary. So the reason I have that is if I only had so few, I couldn't possibly get a decent transition from folded to extended wings. That's just not enough feathers. It's not gonna look good. So I chose 7. 7 seems to be a decent sweet spot because it's not too many. Because if it was a lot more than this, it'd be way too detailed for a cartoony model such as this. But it's still a decent amount to make sure it covers everything. I know the movie Pegasus wings has a bit more feathers than this, but it's still not as much as what I have here. I think the movie had 5 primary feathers and 4 secondary. So just 1 added to each. But yeah. Let me unfold this mess. But yeah, that's what I got so far. That's the basic idea. Just basically this entire wing spreading is controlled by this middle controller here. And while these outer edges do contribute, I probably won't be using these as much to fix the spreading. But I do plan to pose these, obviously, because the wings don't stay perfectly flat when they are flapping their wings. So yeah, anyway, that's that. I don't think I have anything else to say.